Hello, hello, it's Rangers Radio. Hello, hello, this is the foreign show. We're on the air at 9 o'clock on every weekday night, taking calls from the mains. Hello, hello, it's Rangers Radio. Hello, hello, this is the foreign show. We're on the air at 9 o'clock on every weekday night, taking calls about the Jazz.
Hello, good evening, welcome to Rangers Radio. Join myself, Fox, here on the panel tonight. There's a couple of legends, Bridgeman and JFK. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Evening, Ox here. Evening, Bridgeman.
It's you, Bridge. Come on, Bridge. Come on.
I was coughing there. You made me cough, so you need to stop making me cough like that. Can I just say a big good evening to you two
Listen,
guys?
it's not a medical, Bridge. You don't need to cough.
The word leg ends makes me laugh, and it caught me. But can I just say a big good evening to you two? Huge good evening to the boys in the lobby, and to all the Rangers fans listening in all over the world. Good evening. Welcome to Rangers Radio.
Listen, Bridge, I don't know if you got your copy today, but I got that lawyer's letter through today.
All right.
Mr. S. Kipper.
Kipper, yeah.
Oh, listen, this is what he can do with that, mate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right, and what was the reason for the lawyer's letter? Do we know?
Total fabrication. I think he's in there with that green and white mob.
Ah,
Kipper,
right.
whoever he is. I'm after him.
Kipper.
Yes.
Why would somebody called S. Kipper send us a letter? Crazy.
I don't know, mate.
Or is it just you? Is it personal?
And you, mate. You're cited in it as well.
Oh, am I cited? Oh, God. I don't want to be cited anymore.
How are you, JFK?
I'm fine, mate. I'm taking the booze, they say. Good to be on tonight.
I hear the biggest man-made object in Scotland's nearly finished, ready to start the painting all over again. Is this true?
It is. That's why my middle name's Noah, mate. It's finished. It's just getting a wee bit of painting done it, and then we're ready to sail. Yep.
Brilliant, mate.
So
Brilliant.
it's nearly there.
All right, JFK, we've not heard from you. Yeah, just briefly, if you don't mind, your thoughts on the game on Saturday. Seems a long time ago now. But
Yeah, it does seem a long time. Well, it's the old proverbial for me. A game of two halves. Thought we performed very well at times in the first half. Petered out to the end of the first half, and then second half was just a non-event for me. You're looking for 4, 5, 6 goals, which never materialised. Ryan Kent in the first half was unplayable. Absolutely wonderful the first 25 minutes, 30 minutes. But they all fell away second half. Hamilton didn't look as if they were going to score. It was a good 3 points, but like many have said, felt disappointed even winning 2-0 that we didn't manage to put the ball in the onion bag another 3 or 4 times. A lot of goals makes that was a disappointing, and some of the performances second half was very lacklustre. So, but
it
onwards.
was a professional performance in some respects, but my view was JFK wasn't a great watch. That's all.
I agree with that. It wasn't a great. I would say up to the 2 goals. Up to the 2 goals, it was a good watch. After that, it was dire, mate. At times, So
I know you're not a betting man. I know that. But what would you have said to me? We went 2-0. Would you have thought there would be no chance there would be no more goals in that game?
Oh, without a doubt, we're sitting there watching it and we're thinking, here we go. This is the team that we're due to get a doing. And I was looking at 4, 5 and 6 at this point. Oxford, definitely. We were so much in control up to the 2 goals, and then it just petered out after that. But a betting man I'm no, but I was expecting another 3 or 4. And unfortunately, it never materialised. But it's 3 points in the bag, and that's what matters.
Some positives for the game, a lot of positives, but we take the 3 points, we take the clean sheet, and we move on, yeah?
Yeah, definitely, mate, definitely.
All right, mate, I think your view is pretty much similar to the vast majority. It's been on the show, Bridgeman,
Very similar indeed to most of us that were on. And there's a few of the guys said virtually word for word what Jimmy was saying there. But seriously, we expect, you look at that and you're at 20 minutes and you're 2 up and we're all over them like a rash. And we're far better team, far better quality players within the team. And all the things that you could ever say that were really nice about Rangers. And it just didn't come anymore for us. So unfortunate.
Right, so we move on, and since then we've been drawn against some European giants, GFK.
the imps and the Niederkorns. Yeah.
That team haunt us, didn't they?
Aye, they don't half, mate. Aye. I watched part of the draw today, and it was a good for us, a good draw. I like to have seen the game at Ibrox right enough, but whether that'll matter, I don't think so. I think whatever team we play out of the 3 in the next 2 rounds, I think we've got more than enough to cope with that, mate. I don't see any problems.
I hope so, mate.
Yeah. Take a 2-0 in the 2 games. There you have. Never mind 5 and 6. As long as we get through to the qualifying, the knockout round thing, playoff rather.
Mm-hmm.
I would be delighted if our defence continued the good form that they've got, and we continue the sort of don't giving any goals away. That could be crucial. These 2 games coming up are away. They're away from home, and they're one-off games. So like basically just a standard cup tie. And we really need to watch what we're doing, because if we give away a goal away, they could just ruin it. Just saying, that's in my mind.
I've got mixed views on this record, mate. I think sometimes it's great and it's a great positive. If you don't lose a lot of goals, it shows you're a good team, GFK. But I think back to, remember Woods's record? We played the game against Hamilton. We knocked the ball out for about 40 minutes. Made sure we got the record, and then we couldn't score. And
that's right.
It means nothing.
No, they made a big announcement on the Tannoy, surely, Matt, do you remember? And the record had been broken. And everybody was, you're right, records are nice, and it would be nice to keeping clean sheets. But obviously, keep the momentum going of winning. Obviously, the wee glitch against Livingston, but keep the momentum going. Win every game, keep going to be playing a puddle drinkers, and that's when we hope that we can go further in front of them. So, the records are nice to have. That's 6 games, no goals against. So, get into the Scumdy United game in a couple of weeks' time, and if we can keep that record fair. But we can away winning it 2-1, 3-2. I don't care as long as we've got the 3 points, mate. So the records are nice to have, but the 3 points are very important. I ain't
too bothered about the records at all. We've had some great records, but seriously, I don't want us to lose.
One, the green grassy slopes, or did you like the other one?
The green grassy slopes.
That was a good record.
That was a smashing record.
See, talking about that the other night there. No, talk about it. I was watching the Ian Durrant DVD the other night, and Ali McCoy was telling a story about when him and Durrant get into a problem with the police, and they were in the holding cell waiting to be charged. And the big
so the police record one.
He says, "Have you got a police record, sir?" He says, "Walking on the moon." He's the big sergeant was the happy. Oh, brilliant!
You've got to watch what you're doing with it when you're in these places and people come to try and help you. I remember I was trying to help my brother-in-law one time, my brother-in-law's brother, in fact, and I ended up getting angry with the desk sergeant, and he's shouting at me, and I was dead cold sober, and he's shouting at me, saying, "And you're coming in next."
There was an add-on to that. You're coming in next again.
Aye.
Unfortunately, he didn't know me, so otherwise I would have been.
The records are nice, but
I'll put it to you this way, GFK. I would have rather won 6-1 on Saturday than 2-0 like that.
Oh, aye, yeah. Aye. I 100% agree with you. Aye, 6-2, 7-3, whatever. It's the game just was a non-event after about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. Aye, I'd rather have seen us score. The record doesn't mean nothing to really. It's a nice thing to have, but winning the games is more important. So whether it's 9-1, 10-1, 10-9, as long as the 10 is for the Rangers, that's all that matters. So let's see what happens.
It's a long time since we played one of them, a 10-21, aren't we?
Oh, aye, they were good nights, and mornings.
Mornings, aye.
How long do
The
you
old
reckon
lamp
it
light.
lasts now? How long do you reckon it lasts now?
Oh, no even last 10 seconds, never mind 10-21. Played under the gas light and the lights at Crawford Street down at the bridge.
Oh no.
Brilliant stuff.
Aye, brilliant.
Memories.
Aye, so look, the European, I know a lot of the support have got their views, and I'm maybe in a bit of that camp as well. If you said to me, if we could guarantee domestic success, which is ultimately the league this year, moving out the fourth round of Europe, and there was a wee bit of financial hit for us, I could accept that, JFK. But when the games start coming, and the draw's been made for Europe, you see you don't care for it, you start saying, right, okay, that's us, that'll get us through to the qualifying. So you end up, you do care, didn't you?
Of course you do, aye.
You
know, it's when it starts to come round, and especially when we've saw what happened the last two campaigns, how we progressed, especially into the last 16, and obviously we failed at the last hurdle against Leverkusen. But aye, I'm like yourself in that aspect. I mean, the bread and butter is obviously the league, and we want to win the league, because when we win the league and we've got the chance of getting into the Champions League propers, then that's when the big money comes in, and that's what we want. We want to have the finance to be able to enhance the squad that we've got, and we need that bigger amount of money. The board has done tremendous so far, and so have the team by bringing in Europa League money. So we're sitting nice at that side of it. But I'm not saying European football doesn't matter for me, but when it comes round, I am excited about it, and but it's good financially for the club. And saying that, it'll not be as great financially for any club, apart from the fact they'll get the money for points, because there's TV income, but no revenue for the fans, as we all know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be excited when it comes round again, mate. It will be.
Well, when you say no revenue for the fans, you've got to remember that it's a different type of revenue you're speaking about. But just think how much Rangers have pulled in season ticket sales alone. It's quite incredible. And I know they make extra money with other things, but in reality, there's nothing like what you get the club gets for their season ticket sales. Amazing amount.
When you think about it, Bridge, mate, in the last 2 years, I think we said that we've had 4 qualifying the first round, and then three at home, and then 3 qualifiers last year, I think it was. Then another 3 at home, so that was 6. Then another 2 8. 14 home games.
Oh, absolutely, and they matter a lot. They matter a lot.
Another season's worth of revenue just
indeed.
It's amazing when Steven Gerrard came in the door, GFK, and they were saying, right, here's what we have to do, here's what we're trying to achieve. I don't think they would have factored in the 2 European runs. They couldn't have, because it was 50-50 every time near enough at some point.
100%, mate. I would think they would have sat down and if we get by 2 rounds, then we'll be doing okay. Because typically Rangers fall at that hurdle. But to go and do what we did in the last 2 campaigns has been absolutely fantastic. You just hit us with a good start there, about 14 home games, and the amount, and every game was a sellout. You can imagine the revenue that brought in for the club, as you say. That's another season's revenue with the ticket prices that they are for European ties. So the club will obviously miss that. Obviously, they'll maybe come into some arrangement that first season ticket holders will be allowed to pay another sum of money to watch the European games. That would be a good idea. I know, like a BT Sport, another thing I've got the games tied down, but for me, I'd rather Rangers manage to get into that stream. Whether that happens, I can't see it myself.
I can't see the broadcasters being up the monopoly they've got on the ties. I can't see it. I think you'd have to subscribe to the broadcaster, which is a whole different avenue. But we'll cross that bridge when we come. our first European tie is next up. No, next Thursday. 2 weeks on Thursday, Bridge.
16th.
The 16th, yeah. 16th, aye.
17th.
So, yeah.
17th.
17th,
Yeah.
sorry, boys, sorry. Can't count.
Don't worry, if we need any counting, we'll get Linda on, yeah?
I like it, pal, I like it. No, I think that, I'm looking forward to it. My, as I've said before, all the way through this, the only difficulty I have, and I dare say virtually every Rangers fan has, that wants to go and see Rangers, is we can't do it. We just can't go and see our team. And we're all desperately keen to go and see it. And we're watching these games getting played, and they're actually only getting played for the TV. That's the only reason they're getting played in reality, because there's nobody else getting in out it other than what the broadcasters are getting, whatever they're getting through Sky or whatever, you know. So that I'm just desperate to see whatever we're doing with the club, and if we're all putting our money in, I'd be quite happy to continue putting my money in, and Rangers get a lot of money. That's what I want.
Yeah,
Rangers get a lot of money.
One thing at a time. I mean, obviously, as the tide progresses and the competition progresses, JFK, we're hoping that things will some kind of normality might come back to society. But obviously, the news for Glasgow and the surrounding areas tonight wasn't great, but I don't see it as a big deal really in the whole scheme of things. But I can't come and visit you, but we can go and sit in the pub together across the road. I don't really understand it, but there you go. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So hopefully, as this competition develops and time moves on every week, things are changing. The economics will drive us back to the ground. Obviously, people's safety is first and foremost paramount, but we'll take it as it comes. JFK, yeah.
We'll just take it as it comes. I say, like you said there, I mean, we get that news tonight in Glasgow and Western Berkshire, East Renfrewshire are all in a kind of semi-lockdown now. I don't know. I'm hoping it doesn't impact on us getting back to the football in a couple of weeks' time, because I think everybody's waiting with bated breath to see if they're going to be the lucky few that get an email to say that they've been picked to get into the ground. So we'll just need to wait and see. I'm hoping it doesn't impact, hope it doesn't get worse, but we just need to wait and see. I said before, I can't see large crowds getting into any stadium in Scotland, especially to after the new year, mate. I can't see it happen.
You've been quite consistent on that, Jimmy. You said that a long time ago, you know.
Can't see it.
He might be right. I mean, the time's moving on, mate. We're into September now, and in reality, it's 6 months really. You know, things are moving on. So we'll obviously deal with that as it comes. But
yeah,
through the piece, obviously, Red Imps, and then Progress or William II. Is that how we're presenting it? As
William II.
Yeah.
Is that how or is it
Willem 2 they're called.
Oh, Willem. Sorry, I never noticed that was a V. These, you know what I mean?
You know, like the Dutch are, that's the way they pronounce it, innit?
Well, is he on a horse at all? No.
Maybe we have been a Willem 2s, maybe on a donkey.
There you go. No. It's got to be a horse. Donkeys.
You'll like this one. CB sent me this, Bridge. Yeah?
Go on.
What is Linda's favourite pub?
Wow.
The Counting House.
Oh.
Thanks for that, CB. Right, so we move on. The draw favourable. Can't see any problems. I'm being honest. I don't see any problems. JFK.
No, I don't see any problems at all. And if there was a problem that we were in making, can I see any problem getting through these two teams? And that's not being blasé or anything like that. We'll look at the team we've got and look at what we're up against. You know, if you'd have said this to me 3 seasons ago, yeah, I'd have been a bit worried. But no, mate. Yeah, definitely no. I'm very happy with the squad we've got, although I would like a couple of additions, as you know. Mm-hmm. But no, I can see us getting by any of these 3 teams. Neither Willem 2 or Red Imps. Can I see us stumbling against any of them, mate?
Yeah. Bridge, you the same?
Yeah, I would hope that we're going to get right through and sail through that lot.
Just throwing it in, mate. 1-0. 1-0.
Well, does it matter at this point in time? Because, as I say, I mean, for us, for Rangers, all we're looking for is a victory. In reality, it's only a victory. Anything else that comes after that is a big bonus. I'd love to see the team playing well. I'd like to see every player doing their utmost and starring and doing all they can do and get 4 or 5 goals each game. That's what I would love for every game, not just in Europe, but all through the league and the cups. That's what I want. I want the fear to come back into the rest of the other clubs that are playing us. Whenever they play us, they get a bit concerned and weary because what are Rangers going to come up with this time? Well, we're going to run them all into the ground. That's what I want. I want to have a team that will run them into the ground and pump 4 or 5 past them.
Do you know what I've noticed? I don't know how many of the games that you've watched live, right, in the last couple of weeks now. The Champions League games. But I'm talking about what I noticed about the Champions League games, especially, is because it's not a 2 legs game. Both teams are more adventurous going forward, right? There's none of that. Okay,
it's a cup final, isn't it?
It's a one. You're right, mate. We could call it a cup final. So it's a winner take all on that night. So that then for me makes for better football because a draw is no good to any of the 2 teams because it's played to a finish. So it's not as if you've had a result at home and you need to go away and protect that result. So for me, that I think that will benefit Rangers. You've always said consistently, Oxia, that if a team comes out and plays football against us, then we will win because we'll play better against them. But when this crap football that's getting played against us now, we're finding it hard to break teams down. So these teams will need to come out because it's a one-off game. It's no playing for a draw to try and hold the team back to them, get them to the next stadium. So for me, I can't see any problem, mate.
The only thing I've got is when you're playing against you, no matter who the team is, if they don't feel that they can beat you, then they're in all probability their best bet is obviously a breakaway, some mistake by our defenders, goalkeeper, whatever, and them lucky enough to get a wee pop at goal and get managers to go in. Or indeed, the ultimate is take us to extra time or whatever it takes and take us into penalties because then it's just down to the guys shooting into the goal. And that's probably the best way forward for somebody. That is the best way forward for a lot of these teams. Because other than that, there's some of these teams, you're right, if they come out and they try to come out and do something, there'll be 2 goals in it before they know it. And that's what will happen. There'll be 2 goals in it and they'll rue the day that they did it. But they'll come out somewhere along the line. They've got to a point where they need to come out. If they want to win, they've got to come out in general when they're playing ordinary football. But we need to watch out for Lincoln Red Imps. Because they beat that mob across the city in that wee stadium. And that was one of the great games of all time. Anyway,
people want to join us. What's the number, Bridge?
The number's 0141 356 1972.
Phone in, hang up, and the technical team will phone you right back. Where else can you join us, JFK?
You can join us on Skype at RangersRadio.online.
Here. It's your show. Come in. We've got any building or any major DIY jobs. We've got JFK here if you want to ask him any advice in any matters of the heart. We've got
Very good. Very good. Oh my God. Oh.
Fox isn't happy with this announcement tonight, by the way.
What's the announcement?
Oh, that announcement, you can't have people from other houses in your house, mate.
Oh my God, that's a knacker. There'll be no more parties in High Burnside.
What am I going to do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? I don't know, Fox, you know. So that was a draw, favourable draw. We've done enough to deserve favourable draws. GFK over record in the last few years, but we move on. What I want to touch on is obviously somebody that you actually know personally has left the club, moved on to pastures new, and I think he goes with everybody's best wishes. And very, very unlucky in his Rangers career, Jamie Murphy.
Yeah, I'm sad to see Jamie go. One of the local lads for Knightswood. had a lot of high hopes. I was hoping he'd came to Rangers before he went down south, and that, but that didn't happen. He was desperate to come to Rangers, and when they did, he had that unfortunate injury. And I was hoping that after he got early injury that the gaffer would have a spot for him. But that was fantastic words that Stephen Gerrard said about Jamie Murphy. He's a consummate professional, and he worked hard in training. He done well to get back for his injury. But there's no space for him, so that's a shame in that aspect. But wish Jamie all the best wherever he ends up in his career. I know he's with the spoon burners now for a while, so we just need to see what transpires. I'd like him to finish with a Scottish Cup medal if he's still eligible to play. Maybe take it off the puddle drinkers. That'd be great for him to score a winner in the final. But yeah, I wish Jamie all the best. Nice lad, and I wish him all the best and things.
And he's a blue nose, mate.
He's a good blue nose, mate.
A
great blue nose. Aye.
Same with the boy Ross McCrory, mate. They go with our best wishes. Obviously, they're playing against teams that would be classed as rivals, Bridge. But these boys go with our best wishes. Obviously, Ross we've spoken about, but Jamie Murphy, I think the support had a lot of time for Jamie, and he was very unlucky here.
Yeah, I thought, certainly where I sat up in Ibrox, the guys had nothing but praise for him. He went down to Kilmarnock to play on that terrible pitch, and he came up and he was I think he was mugged, and a little bit of thuggery went on with that big idiot. Him got an egg on his face the last time. Broad, is it Broad? What's his name? Broadfoot. Yeah. And there was nothing. They didn't look as if there was anything in that, but that was deliberate what he did to him. The push in the back, and that just shocking, and never even spoken to. Jamie Murphy, no doubt about it. Quality player, and we were very pleased to have him. And sadly, it's come to an end for him as far as Rangers are concerned, I'm sure. And if he gets a season, maybe a season and a half out of Hibs, then he'll be doing very well. He will.
Can I ask you a question about Ross McCrory, guys? Do you think that we've let him go cheaply?
I think the problem is with modern contracts, mate. When you look and see when somebody's contract's due up, and that has a lot of bearing on the price, at every level. And I think if you go back a month, we've not let him go cheaply, because he would have just sat and he's just said, well, if I don't go to do what I want, I'll just sit and take the money till my contract's done. So you've got to come to some deal where we're getting some of the money for his wages, it'll be ultimately saving money, and the same with Jamie Murphy's deal. So I think we've made deals that are maybe right. You've got to get them off the wage bill, clear the decks if you like, to move on. Will some of these come back and haunt you if somebody goes on and plays really well and you think, we shouldn't have let him go? But if you ask me, 5 weeks ago, was Ross McCrory going to get into our first 11? My answer's no.
No, I agree with you.
And Jamie Murphy, I think he's better than some of the players that we've got in the park in our first 11 at the moment. Just obviously the gaffer doesn't see him as a long-term solution because his contract's up next summer, mate. And you've got to look at all these things as well when you're moving players on. It's quite an art to get it right, Bridgeman. Eh?
Oh yeah, see, you're right. What's happening there with the two of them is they're going to Aberdeen and Hibs respectively, and Rangers are hopefully going to receive some money for their wages while they're there, and then they've agreed somewhere along the line that they'll take them on full time. After the loan period's finished, and that's good for both the players and us. We'll get a sum for them, which you were right. Whether it be another 18 months before their contract's up, it don't really matter. They'll get a sum for them because the nearer they get to the end of their contract, the less you're going to get if you're looking for an actual sign-on fee. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Our experience tells us that anyway. So getting that. Was it 350,000? I don't know how much it was for Jamie Murphy, but I think if they can get 350,000 for McCrory from Aberdeen, they're doing well. And Aberdeen are going to make out of it because McCrory's a good player.
What's your view, GFK?
I think I've discussed this before. I mean, I didn't, like I said, I didn't think he was ever going to get into the team. I'd have thought $500,000 would have been a better fee for him. I think they let him go too cheap. But I agree with what you're saying about the wage thing and all that. Get him off the books.
You're not getting great negotiations when you're getting somebody that can't get in.
No, of course.
Can't get a place on the bench.
I understand that. On this season, you're talking about two players who will probably hold doing first team places at the clubs they're away to now, which means that because they're on loan, they'll not be allowed to play against us this season. That'll not kick into next season when they become actually puddled, spoon burners and sheep players. So this season they're on loan, so they'll not be allowed to play against us. So which is good, because you don't want them to come back and haunt you that way.
Season.
For this season, aye.
I mean, obviously Jamie's at a different stage in his career for young Ross. Young Ross could kick on and become a player you think, why did we let him go? But you've got to do what you think's right at the time, GFK.
Of course you have. I mean, I know the history of the young McCrory. I mean, I can think now because my wife actually worked with their mother, and I know he was disillusioned about what was happening, and he did go and chap the door and ask why he wasn't getting a game, but he was told that he's not guaranteed a place, and the manager wasn't happy that he'd went and did that. He thought he should have tried a bit more harder in training to get into the team, and that's why he was asked if he would go in another loan in it, and he refused. So that was the end of it for Stephen G. So he had to go out the door, So I'm not Bridgman. I just don't think he'd ever played for Rangers. And the same as I say, I don't think he'd ever been in the first team at all.
That's my point. I mean, sometimes the problem there, Bridge, is that he had a taste, and then he wants more, obviously, and then when he's not getting to taste it anymore, he gets disillusioned. Maybe it happened too soon for the boy when he was really thrown into bad teams. I may add, by the way, bad teams.
Well, we weren't the greatest, but the positions that he wanted to play, started off wanting to play at right back, then he wants to play at centre half, then he wants to play in midfield, and unless, of course, it was in conjunction with the manager's thoughts anyway, he was tried in all these positions, and with difficulty, he played maybe one or two good games, and all of a sudden he started to see him falling away a wee bit, and get bad injuries, particularly playing in midfield. He wanted to play in midfield, and his first touch was a tackle. His second touch rather was a tackle. When the ball's coming to him and there's nobody near him, and all of a sudden the ball bounces off the shin and away it goes. So some of that kind of stuff. And that's not to say he was a smashing player, great potential, absolutely great potential. And nearly every game in his early part, every game he played for Rangers, you saw the heart on the sleeve, and that was him, a fan's favourite. But realistic, you've got to be realistic. No matter what happens, you've got to be realistic.
All right, if people want to phone us, give us their thoughts. Should we let the two players go? Give us a call on 0141 356 1972. Or join us at Skype at RangersRadio.online. We brought in a call with Fox and Old School Blue. If you phone in, hang up and the technical team will get right back to you. It's difficult, but we'll see what it takes us. And I'll tell you what, Jamie Murphy does go with my personal best wishes, GFK, and I know yours, yeah?
Aye, definitely, mate. I was sad when I saw that he was leaving. I'd like to have seen him going to another team rather than the Spoon Burners, but if they're the team that decided to come in from, because I rate Jack Ross as a manager and I think he'll get the best out of him. But yeah, certainly, for me, it'll be a miss, personally, and I think that he'll do well at the Spoon Burners. So, onwards for him, and he's maybe only got another 2 or 3 years left, depending how his injured leg holds up. But I wish him all the best, mate. Certainly do.
Well, do that we've mentioned that, Bridgman, you're a very experienced football man. Yeah? There's no answer, Mr. JFK.
I'm indeed.
Do you think there's part of this with the gaffer? Didn't sign Murphy and obviously didn't develop Ross. You know this tweet the managers have with it. They like their own players. You know, do you think there's maybe a part of that in it?
No, I don't think that. You're right. Managers like their own players, and sometimes they don't like being foisted upon. But I think you like both of them. It's just sad that their injury, however long it takes to go over the injury, and by the time they're over it, other people in the squad are playing well in the positions that they want to play. I'm sorry that it does happen. Nothing in this world would make me. I can't be more sympathetic to both those players with their injuries that they got and the sending offs that young Ross got. Just incredible stuff. But that's the way it is. And he's going to Aberdeen, and I think he'll like it up there. He'll like it with McInnes. Although why, I don't know, but he'll probably like it with him.
It might be his type of player, yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. How many players do you reckon that the Gaffer's signed, including loans, JFK?
Oh, two now. I'll go for 22.
22. Bridge. This is for a mystery star prize, higher or lower than 22.
Higher.
Oh, you win. If you get it within one, we'll give you the prize. On you go, Bridge.
29.
Unlucky. JFK, higher or lower than 29, you're back in the game.
Lower.
Oh, you're out of the game.
I'll go higher.
No, Bridge, that's it. It's easier. Fox wins. He signed 35 players.
Really?
Aye, wow.
35 players. Do you want me to list them?
No.
You listening? Including loans, yeah?
There you go.
McGregor, Firth, McLaughlin, Golson, Katic, Worrell, Macaulay, Hallander, Balogun, Edmondson, Barrich, Flanagan, Bassey, Polster, Arfield, Davis, Kamara, Koulibaly, Ajaria, King, Ojo, Gresta, Hasty, Barker, Jones, Stewart, Kent, Aribo, Hadji, Lafferty, Sadiq, Defoe, Canberry, Root and Itten. Yeah.
That's a few. It's 35.
Yeah.
Jeez, I never have thought that.
So this is his third season.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be us something like 10, 11 players per season, averaging out more.
Well, it's his fifth transfer window.
Aye.
No.
So they could average so far an average of 7 signings in a transfer window, JFK.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to say that. You just jumped in there before. You're not talking about season by season. You're talking about you said 5 transfer windows, so you're talking about 5, possibly 5 each window. That's remarkable. That's some intake. Off the top of your head, if I'm trying to think, how many out of that 35's gone?
Oh, that's a good point. I'll just go through it. Obviously, Worrell's gone, Macaulay's gone, Flanagan's gone, Polster's gone, Koulibaly's gone, Ajara's gone, King's gone, Ojo's gone, Gresda's gone, Hasty's gone, Barker's gone. Oops, did I say that out loud?
Shocker.
Lafferty's gone, Sadiq's gone, Canberry's gone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of loans in there and a lot of wheeling and dealing, but
yeah,
it just shows you how the squad's developed, JFK.
Aye, of course it has. Of course. Look, the all saying is that you've got to, before you buy, you've got to try. And we did that, and obviously some of them worked out, some of them didn't. Some were good for us. Ryan Kent was a good loanee, and eventually, obviously, we purchased him for the 7 million. And McLaughlin has been a good addition to the squad. So, I mean, the players you named that came and the players that you named that went, I'm not too disappointed, but the ones you said that went, I'm probably thinking that they'd be better away somewhere else because they've never done anything for me, really. There was 4 or 5 there that were really, really like Ojo and that, who I had a lot of hope for at Ibrox, but No, 35 is a lot, but I've tried to count there. I lost counting at 13. I think it was 15 maybe out of that 35 is gone. Might be wrong.
Yeah, it's a lot of players, Bridge, and obviously you're going to get that. Don't every signing is a success at any level, is it?
Oh, absolutely not. No, you're lucky if you can get, you're lucky if you get 1 out of 3 is a success, to be honest, your signings. And the manager's done very well. He's done very well. Some of the players we've got on our books are very good. We've got problems with the shall we say, the press and the TV, the media, and the shall we say, the picture that people see when they talk about Rangers. If they're no Rangers fans, then it's not a very nice picture. So we can't change MD's mind. We need to be better ourselves. That will help us. So we need to keep doing it. We're getting better players all the time, better quality players all the time. But we know it takes money, and it's going to take quite a bit of money, and we'll need to keep it going.
All right, this is a phone-in show, so people want to join us. What's the number? JFK.
0141 356 1972.
Phone in, hang up, and the technical team will get right back to you. Where else can you join us, Bridge?
You can join us on Skype at RangersRadio.online, and Old School Blue / Foxy will bring you in and look after you. Enjoy yourself.
Here. Obviously, I didn't recognise that number, JFK, to read it out. They're all there, but you forget. There's players you forget about. Sadiq, forgot about him.
Yep.
And obviously he's had great reviews in the last 6 months. Bizarre. Good press. There was rumoured they moved to Man United. Mental.
The thing, the abiding memory for me is watching Big Sadiq perform against Aberdeen in the semi-final of the Cup. That was the worst performance I've seen of any Rangers player in a long time. Suppose he was thrown to the Lions with Alfredo getting his second booking, or third booking it was against Ayr United, and it put him out the semi-final. But Big Sadiq was an enigma. People were calling him the black, what do you call him, big tin man, because he's big gangly legs. They didn't know what they were doing. But he was a terrible player, mate. Terrible player.
You had to feel sorry for him watching that game.
Oh, you did? I did as well.
God
Aye,
save us,
I did as well, mate.
You wonder, A, what did they see in him? And B, did you just go with whatever press readings there were about him, press stories? Yeah. Because in the match I thought he was really good. Big tall fella, big long legs. And sometimes when he was playing at Ibrox area, I've seen him anyway, you see him getting in there and managing to reach the ball, but not very often. But my goodness gracious, if we had kept him for another year, then he may be at the level he's at now. Do you know what I mean? Playing half decent stuff, That's what we're led to believe.
Yeah, fast, but that was a strange one. But I think the lesson for Stevie G in that was what was Morelos doing playing against Ayr United in
you're right.
An easy cup tie when you've got a semi-final coming up,
Yeah, it was there. Everybody before going to the game, Oxshare, was under the same impression as yourself. Just drop Morelos because he is that one booking away for missing the semi-final, and the gaffer decided to play him, and we know what happened anyway after that. I'm just getting some I don't know if it's breaking news, but because I don't know, I never heard you mention it last night, but seemingly it's coming out of Sportski Novosti in Croatia that Leeds United have made a €9 million.
Don't believe everything you read.
Don't believe that. Worth more than that.
I think, mate, I'll tell you what, it's great to be in this position where we've got assets.
Yep.
There wasn't that long ago, 9 million, €6 million would have got you a real team. And China.
Aye.
And we'll get Ryan Kent, we'll get Morelos himself, we've got Barisic, we've got, let's be honest about it, we'll get Golson, we've got Hollander, who's moving into the peak of his career, we've got Ryan Jack, who's reasonably young, we've got Hadji, who has got a name, obviously we'll see how that takes us. We've got great assets, and then you've got the big centre halves, Edmondson and Katic, who are assets. You know, we've got assets all over the club, and then the young boy Mail, who any time I've seen him along with Patterson has impressed me. GFK, I know you've seen a bit of him.
Aye, well, I'd saw him in the youth team and that, playing in the UEFA Europa Youth Tournament. Aye, he really did impress me, mate. So I'm pleased that he's been rewarded with a contract extension to 2024, I think it is. So well done to him. And I think he's one for the future. Let's see. Bridgeman had said before that, no, but we need to start trying to again bring young players through. No, we need to start bringing through players that are going to make the first team. It'd be great to see that again. You know, we've had many through the years, and you know, a couple have went down south now, back home. Players that would be brought to Ibrox, you know, so like the young Coombs boy and he's off now. But it'd be good to breed Warren, as they say, and see if we can get them into the first team in the future. I'd love to see it. It'd be great to see 11 Scotsmen walking out, 11 proddy Scotsmen walking out for the Rangers.
I'm interested. I don't know if that'll ever happen again, GFK. I really don't, but I think it'd be good to start getting players in who maybe know about the club a bit better. But what Stevie G's done, Bridgeman, he's the pluses on the side of the balance sheet. I know you like a balance sheet, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
The pluses for him, what he's done in management, and not just him, his recruitment teams, they have firmed up the pluses on that side, didn't they?
Yeah, indeed. I think I think we're starting to see Gerrard, the one we were looking for, if you follow what I mean, and we've supported him all the way through, and I will continue to support him. That's for sure. And you're starting to see the benefits of it. All we need now, we'll get some really good players. We just need them all to talk to each other and play with each other on the pitch. I mean this in the football sense. Play alongside each other properly, and we'll win a lot of games. A lot of games with a lot of goals. Got to do it, but we've got to make sure it happens. And my God, have we get the best manager in Scotland for sure. Best manager in Scotland.
Here.
Yep.
People want to join us. It's 0141 356 1972 or join us at Skype at RangersRadio.online, where you'll be brought in and call by old school blowing clocks. So up in the technical area tonight. Aye, but I'll be interested to see how it goes, and that's a great point about the development and that. And obviously, the guy Mulholland has been involved with the club for quite a bit now, and developed a lot of structures within the club. If you like, GFK, get the foundations right, but ultimately we only care about the first team.
Oh, of course, aye. But look, going forward, we need to try and nurture young players, and if we can do that, it can only be good for Rangers. And it's good to bring young boys for other teams and try and nurture them going forward, and we can keep. And you said 35 loan players. Some of them are young.
35 in total, mate.
35 players we brought. Some, as I was going to say, some of them were young players that we tried to nurture, but we couldn't. And so it'd be better just nurturing Moraine. And I saw a cracking interview for I can't remember his name now, the guy that runs the Rangers Academy, and he's quite confident in the next 5 years that Rangers will see the benefits of that. So,
all right. Well, we have got an interview for Craig Mulholland. So if you if you just want to get yourself a mute, let's hear for Craig Mulholland.
we spoke a lot about the work that the staff did, so some really innovative online programmes, but I think probably what we've not spoke much about is what the work that the kids did. Some of the videos they sent back, some of the imagination they used to combine our online activities, looking at a lot of technical stuff, tactical stuff, and also the integration of the first team staff into that process as well has been terrific. So the manager came on, spoke to the young players, Gary McAllister. We did some unbelievable webinars. So with Jermaine Defoe come on, and one of the stories he told was about how he tries to finish as a striker. It was great for our strikers. The following week, Philippe Palander came on and spoke about how you try and stop Jermaine doing what he does. So for the young defenders, that was great education. So I think everyone's been really engaged through it. I think Ross Wilson, our sporting director, was quite clear to say that he thought the programme we put in place was industry leading, and I think credit goes to our staff for that. However, we're desperate to get back in the grass, because as much as we'll take some of that into our new programmes, it would be great just to get back to some form of normality.
In recent weeks, we've seen a number of changes made to the academy structure. Can you just run through them for us, please?
Yeah, I think it was branded as a restructure. I'm not sure necessarily as a massive restructure, Nick. I think what it was for us is always moving forward and always getting better. So if you look at the project we've had, we're coming towards the end of a 5-year programme, and it was saying, right, how do we get better and more lean and dynamic for the next phase? So what we've created is a B team in name, and probably it's for players who are coming out of the academy who no longer feel like academy players, or first team players dropping back down. The B team will have quite a different identity to the rest of the academy. It will follow the first team in schedule, it will follow the first team in tactically, it will follow the first team in terms of practice. And we've got Kevin Thompson and Brian Gilmer going to go and work with that group, which is exciting. Both ex-Rangers players. Kevin obviously at a top level and can pass on that experience. Brian came all through the academy and knows that as well. So the B team's an exciting group. David McCallum will then head up the professional development phase. David's done an exceptional job over the last few years. Obviously a big history in the game, developing players like Andy Robertson at Queen's Park and things like that. But at Rangers, the Alcast tournament, the youth cups, but he's a really, really good educator of young people, and we think he's the best in the business at that role. We've brought in Cameron Campbell to come and work with him. And Cameron worked at Right to Dream. We like the fact he was brave enough to go and work in Africa. He's worked in Denmark, and a really young, innovative Scottish coach. So the top end of the academy has changed quite a bit, but really the concept is that the guys won't always be in those positions. So what we want to do is ultimately they're Rangers players, and the whole focus now needs to be about how do we aid the development best of that young player. So the coaches in the professional phase will move from time to time. The coaches in the youth development phase, headed up by Matt Spalding, will move, and the coaches in the foundation phase, Alan Boyd, will also move. And what it means is they're getting an experience of all the players. They then have a view on the progress of all the players, and it means that ultimately we're all working together in a really collaborative way for the betterment of our players at Rangers.
One of the things you discussed there was the B team. What is the club's ultimate ambition for the B team?
Okay, so this has been a big piece of work over the lockdown period. I think it was quite widely reported that Rangers have produced a paper which was at the time of league reconstruction was topical, and one of the big things in it for us, we were quite open with that, was a B team. I think that's fundamental to the development of our players from academy to first team. So it was reported wrongly that it had been voted on and dismissed. That was never the case. It never went forward for a vote. And Stuart Robertson, Ross Wilson, myself and Andrew Dixon have been working our way around all 42 clubs on Zoom calls explaining the concept behind the paper. Now that's been a great exercise. It's been a long exercise, but a great exercise because it's built relationships with Rangers, with all these other clubs for sure, but it's allowed us to ascertain some ideas and thoughts that we might not have had that we can now build into the paper with a view to taking it forward for season 21-22. The B team concept is fundamental to what we're trying to do here, but we also think fundamental to the development of the national game in Scotland. So if we take Croatia as an example, which is a very similar country to Scotland in terms of population base, they had, I think it was 67% of their players that reached the World Cup final who came through B teams in their country. Now, only from Hajduk Split, Dynamo Zagreb and OCX, so not lots of B teams, but it was a critical part for the bigger clubs to get players from their academies to the first teams. If you look at the top 12 leagues in Europe, 8 of the top 12 leagues in Europe are now operating with B teams. So we're not looking at a concept that has not worked elsewhere that we're trying to recreate. It's something that we know is successful, but most importantly, it's not just about a B team in the paper. There's a menu of options, because we live in a country where we've got clubs with different revenue bases, different objectives, and I think probably what we've tried in the past is that one size fits all for all clubs, and that will never work. So what we're saying to clubs is, can we be entrepreneurial with the way we develop talent and actually choose from a menu? So there's things like strategic partnerships, there'll be greater loans, there'll be B teams, a whole range of things, and then what clubs can then do is say, right, what best fits our model, but ultimately then benefits young Scottish players. But for Rangers, it's been a big piece of work for us and something we are passionately behind and will continue to push, because in order to get the success of the work we've done over the last 5 years, we need to make sure we get the transition bit right to the first team.
It's been fantastic to see the academy add James Graham, Charlie Lindsay and Tony Weston, 3 highly sought after talents. What has allowed the academy to sign young players of that calibre?
Okay, it's a really good question. I think there's probably 2 aspects to that. I think that the work that's been done over the last 5 years to take us from an academy that might not have been so attractive to players from England and Northern Ireland and everywhere else who are sought after by all the EPL clubs, I think people now see that the provision we provide within Rangers Academy is second to none. So I think that's first and foremost one of the key aspects. Our culture is key. When players come in here, they don't feel like trialists. Yeah, we're a massive club, but they feel like one of our players. It's important to us that they're welcoming, they're looked after, and I think that fits with the traditions of Rangers. But I think fundamentally that whole market is going to change. So if we take a Charlie Lindsay from Northern Ireland, they could have signed for any of the EPL clubs they wanted. Obviously James Graham the same, Tony Weston the same. So as agents are becoming more involved in the game these days, as the money changes in different countries, as with the UK leaving the EU, the rules will change again, which means that England won't be able to go to as many different countries to look at the different markets. I think what you'll see more is more cross-border trading of young players. So I think what's fundamental is that some of our players, we will decide that they should move on. Now that might be for a couple of reasons. It might be that we don't quite think they're going to hit the first team and we decide to do a return on investment and get some money back for them. It might be that actually at the point of signing a contract, we're not prepared to pay what someone else might pay because we don't believe that player is one of our top A players. But at the same time, our recruitment team headed up by David Stevenson and Andy Scoulden are doing an unbelievable job that we can identify talent that then comes in the other direction. So you'll see a lot more players trading. What's fundamental to our strategy though, which has been implemented by Ross Wilson, who's been tremendous as he came to the club, is that our best players, our A players, the likes of, if I can give an example, Leon King, who again could have signed for probably any club in the UK, they commit themselves to Rangers. But they commit themselves to Rangers for 2 or 3 reasons. One, they think they've got the best programme, the best pathway, the best opportunity, but also they've got an absolute desire to play for this football club. At no point can this club ever be a second choice to anybody else. The manager said it, he was quite clear in his views to all young players. They must be obsessed to be footballers here, and that's something that's fundamental to how we work moving forward.
What are the plans for the B team and the under 18s this season, and what games will they play?
Yeah, so the under 18 group, if you like, they've got a kind of league programme again, and they've got the Youth Cup again, so we'll put in best fixtures as we can going cross-border. But what we'll do this year with that under 18 group, Nick, is 76% of them, that's a big figure, will be under 17 players. And the reason for that is that about 8 of our under 18 players will actually go and play in what we're calling the B team. But the reality is 83% of our B team will be under 19 or younger. So what we're doing is, we did this a number of years ago, we're almost going back to where we were 2 or 3 years ago, where the player challenge becomes greater. So yeah, every time you put on a blue jersey you still want to win, no question about that. However, what we're saying is, let's make it as challenging for these players as we can, let's give them the biggest stretch that we possibly can, and that's a key part of our model. So as I say, effectively we'll run under 18s team, which is predominantly under 17, and we'll run a B team, which is predominantly under 19. And the B group will play in the Glasgow Cup again, which gives us fixtures against men, because that early exposure against men is critical. They'll play in the UEFA Youth League as well, having won the under 18 league last year. But it'll be probably slightly different. In the last couple of years we've won Youth Cups, Youth Leagues and everything because the groups have got a little bit older. We're bringing that right back down again like we did 2 or 3 years ago, and almost starting a new cycle of young ones to really push the challenge. Well, the older ones, they'll go on loans, we might do transfers for them, to go and expose with buybacks, to go and expose them to first team football. And others, like a Nathan Patterson, will go straight to the first team. So there's a whole range of different player plans in there. And one of the things that Ross Wilson's been massive on since he came in is making sure we have a plan for every individual player. And that's now happening across all the staff.
It's been great, as you mentioned, to see Nathan force his way into the first team plans this summer and be a part of every matchday squad so far. How has this opportunity for Nathan been created?
Yeah, so one of the big things that the sporting director's role is, and the manager, I have to say, has been fantastic in this as well, is looking at succession planning. So if you listen to all the managers' interviews, he always says the players will get that opportunity if they show they're good enough and when they're ready. But what we also need to do is make sure there's a plan in place for that. So ultimately 2 more experienced right backs left the club, because the belief was that Nathan then becomes the backup right back to Tav. So that pathway, that creation of that pathway isn't just done by chance. That's a real succession planning model that's done from our youngest kids all the way through. Craig Robertson part of his new role is going to be to make sure that our succession planning, our player grading is much more objective from the youngest ages all the way through. And then working with, and this is where it's really important, you've got a first team staff who are desperate to play young players. So the manager is desperate to see a Nathan Patterson do well and others do well, and they'll get given the chance if they show that promise. So therefore we create that chance, we create that opportunity, and now it's then up to Nathan, who he's done so far in pre-season, to go and grab that opportunity.
What are some of the further strides being made by the academy over this coming season?
Yeah, so we're 5 years, coming at the end of the first 5 year strategy. Now the first 5 years was simply about giving Rangers an academy that could be recognised as similar to the top European academies you see in Europe. There's so many fundamentals. People talk about marginal gains. We weren't at the marginal gain stage. What we had to do was create a schools programme, but clear, where we get 18 hours of contact time. You see the independent audit from Double Pass, where they come and give us a grading of 88%. The average across Europe for academies is 62%. We've taken internationals from 14 up to over 42. Those were the fundamental things that we had to do within our programme. If you watch our Rangers team play now, there's a clearly defined style, and I think most people in the country would recognise we're leading youth development in the country from that perspective. The next bit then becomes quite fundamental. We now need to look at the marginal gains. So when somebody walks into our academy, you would see a lot of stuff you'd expect to see in a top European academy. Now we need to say what's going to make us different, what's going to make us better. So part of Graham Murty's new role, as part of the restructure, we'll be looking at what we're calling a platinum programme for some of our players to say, right, all the players will get an excellent programme, but for our very best ones, what do they require to take them over that mountain into the first team and get to that next bit? How can we remove those barriers? And that might be a social aspect, it might be a technical aspect, and Graham will look in real detail at those plans. Another part of Graham's role will be to look at the whole curriculum again, the whole football content again. So that's new and innovative for us, because previously when I had somebody who was unique in that role, and that's a role that's probably common in English academies, we need to make sure we created that up here. And then the likes of Neil McIntosh and Craig McPherson have got a new role at Beclair Academy to say, right, let's go make our schools programme, which we've now established, the absolute best in Britain, without any doubt. So the innovation keeps driving us, keeps pushing us, and every day, we've said this 1,000 times, Nick, but it stays, we must be better than we were yesterday, because after 5 years of really hard work to get us to where we've got to, we are now starting to see the players like Nathan coming through who are genuinely good enough to get towards a team that's in the last 16 in European competition. We get the next batch ready to come from there, but we now need to give them that real detail, those marginal gains that will take us into the next strategy.
From Ohio, so young, to Glasgow City, they come, seeking fortune and a new way of life. How could they know ambitions would grow? Such a beautiful story, and here's how it goes. For outside a dream, they start a football team. They have no money, no care, not even a ball. They still carried on. The Rangers were born. 54 titles, we're still going strong. So hoist up your Rangers hearts, sing with your heart, sing with your heart. Celebrate the greatest club in the world. Let our history show what we already
Well, thanks for that, Fox. Old School Blue. Are we both back?
We're back indeed. Back indeed.
All right, JFK.
Yep, I'm here, pal.
All right, quite interesting, but some stuff in there. And we've been joined by Albert. I'm sure he's got something to say. Evening, Albert.
Evening, chaps. How you all doing?
How you doing, Albert?
Better for hearing your dulcet tones.
I don't want to be forced to speak on that, but if you want me to speak, I'll speak.
I think we might keep the best to the last, yeah?
I don't know if I'm the best, but you're not going to like what I'm going to say.
When you start at 10 past, that might be us to 5 to 11, eh?
Right, go.
I've got a funny feeling I know what you're going to say. Right, JFK.
Yep, I heard that the other day. It was very interesting. Yesterday I heard that. I like what he's got to say, but the proof's in the pudding for me, as I've said before. I'd like to see young players for the academy brought through, but I don't think we've got time for it. And the modern day football, the fans like ourselves that are looking for trophies right away. And you're only talking about maybe bringing one or two of these young boys into the team every other season, which would be good, like young Patterson and that. But I think it'll be a slow burner, mate. I liked everything he said, but for me, it's a slow burner. It's good taking. I was reading the day about the MENA tournament in Dubai that he mentioned. They're trying to make it a 16-team tournament. There's a lot of great teams who are just sitting waiting to take part. I mean, you're talking about Leicester, PSV, Bruges, Middlesbrough, Stoke City, and of course Liverpool. Also, there's a couple of teams for Gambia and Nigeria, and a couple of Asian sides, and they're trying to get a couple of American sides in it as well to bring up to a 16-team tournament. It's 4 groups of 4. That'll be kind of mini World Cup sort of thing. So the boys will probably do well in that, same as they did in the Alcaz Cup. But there's a lot of good things to say. But I've got my doubts on it, mate, that it's going to bring us fruition. Short term. Long term, maybe. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I just don't think that the game nowadays allows us, especially in Scotland, to bring through young players as quick as we'd like it to be.
Bridgman.
Yeah, JFK's got a good point to a certain extent, because the world's changed and we're bringing in players from near and far, really good players and at reasonable prices. When you think how much we got Alfredo Morelos for, £1 million, you just couldn't do these kind of deals through the youth system. Just wouldn't happen. 1 in a million. You would get 1 in a million. I really do think Jimmy's right. We have to do it. It's got to be done. The players, the youth, our youth are the lifeblood. Are going to be the lifeblood of our club, we hope. And they need to come through. But we need to be better. We need to get better. I don't know how they're going to do it, but that's their job to do it. They need to get far better players coming through and proving they're a higher quality player than the boys before them. And that's what needs to happen. They need to be able to improve to the level they can step into the first team and run with it. And within maybe a couple of seasons, they're regulars. You can't beat that if it happens. You can't beat it.
If it happens, and it's always a big if in it, let's be honest about it. But one thing he did say, and I'll go to Albert after this, so one thing he did say is, whether you like it or no, he said that they had to sort out the structure in 5 years for nothing. I don't think I can argue that that's been successful. But it's that next step where you're starting, I'll use the word conveyor belt of talent into the first team. Whether that's, I suppose it's a pipe dream, but whether it's ever going to happen, only time will tell. But if it did happen, that would mean that they went to the next level, but we'll have to wait and see. Albert?
Well, for me,
it
took me back.
Go on mute, you two, go and get a cup of tea, come back in a couple of minutes, right?
I'll take a dog.
It took me back to my railway days. I've sat in many a management meeting, listening to that drivel. It's just total and utter drivel, as far as I'm concerned. I've heard all this crap before. He just described a B team. What that used to be called was a reserve team, not somebody ought to tell him, know what I mean? It took us 5 years to organise a boys' game, basically. That's what he's telling us. That's nonsense, mate. That's absolute nonsense. And management is quite a simple, guy, in any walk of life, no matter what you do. It's reasonably simple. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So where's the measurement? He never talks about a measurement. How do the fans measure the success of this? We've just got to sit for another 5 years and go, oh, that didn't work either. Or, oh, that's a wee bit of improvement for the last 5 years. That's nonsense. That's just drivel talk. I'm not happy with all this crap, by the way. The whole model needs to be changed because the way it works now, it's no good enough. It's just no good enough. So he's told his Patterson.
How would you measure it?
Pardon?
How would you measure it personally? Players
Personally, it's
minutes per
players in the
15?
first. I know players. First of all, it's players in the first team, right? We
Mhm.
value players in the first team. But the second one is, and it equally as important, by the way, is the players that you're selling on. You're moving on. You're getting them up to a level, but they're not going to make your first team, but selling on for profit. So you need to look at money invested, money returned on when you sell these kind of players. Now, 5 years, he said. Now, we've brought, what he's saying is the boy Mayo and the boy Patterson. So it's 5 years to bring the two boys on to where they are now. Right, that's fair enough. How many boys did we have to get to two? How many people did they go through to get to the two? No mention of how many
Mate.
players
Must
we
have
had.
been hundreds, Must have been.
Exactly. So that ratio's crap. That's just crap. Now, there's something failing there. Whether it's the actual coaches themselves when they get the raw material, or it's the scouts and the people that are bringing the boys to the club who are not noticing the decent boys or the boys that are going to make it. Now, it's a gamble. You never know if a boy's going to make it. But it shouldn't take you 5 to 12 years to find out. I mean, Ross McCrory, big Ross has been at the club for 12 years. Then we decide he's no good enough. Now, the boy, I'm proud of that boy. That boy walked in and said, I've had enough of this. I think I'm good enough, so I'm off. I'm going to get first team football. 10 out of 10 for the boy. The boy's quite right to do it. Go and get it. I don't want to go to them right enough, but he's right to do what he's done. So is Docherty. Quite right to do what they're doing. Don't sit in the stands and wait and think. If you think you're good enough, move. Move to now. I'm going to play for somebody that's going to play me. That's what I'd be saying to these boys. What's happening at Rangers anyway? It's just a big kindergarten. It's a big gang hut. Again, we're back to that again. I can't be annoyed with it. I can't be annoyed with the dribble. I can't be annoyed with the crap talk and the management speak. I mean, you know, folks, you must have been at meetings like this in Ox.
Once or twice.
Oh, you just send you to sleep. You're like, oh, I'm bored with this. I used to be disruptive influence at these meetings just to G it up a bit and go.
You with the chewing gum on the ruler, mate. I can see you with the chewing gum.
You know what I'm talking. It just sends you to sleep. It's crap. Another 5 years. Wait another 5 years. Well, it'll be 10 years we've all waited. Right. So anybody that's in their 30s, they'll be in their 40s.
In their defence, mate, they have done what they said they were done. The timeline might not be as quick for you, but what they have done, we are now the premier youth set up in the country where we weren't 5 years ago.
How can you prove that? How can you prove that, mate? Where's the measurement to prove that?
The trophies that the youths have won. The trophies that the youths have won.
One of the youth trophies is not a proof of anything, mate. That's just not a proof of anything. It's players coming through to the first team and selling players on. That's the proof. We're a professional football team. We're not a kindergarten. We're not a boys' club. You know what I mean? And I'm talking about tournaments abroad, tournaments here. I mean, I know it's Danish organising a game of football. Give me 4 jerseys and I'll organise a game of football for the boys. I mean, it's just crap. A whistle. I'm just not happy with that crap talk and all. I'm giving you another view in it. I know a lot of people are going to shoot me down. I know a lot of people totally and utterly disagree with me. And that's fine. I'm just giving you another view. I'm giving you a view. I've been cynical about it. I'm no listening to this nonsense. I've listened to this nonsense most of my adult life in my own job, and it sends me to sleep. It really sends me to sleep. Right, that's all I'm going to say.
I had a funny feeling you might come on. I'm going to bring you somebody in who sees it a wee bit different for you, mate. Mr. Fox, he's sitting there patiently. He follows the youths and looks at what's going on at the club, sometimes more in depth than I do, below the first team. Fox, how we doing, brah?
Evening, Ox.
How we doing, mate? I enjoyed the interview. I do recognise some of the spiel that all Bob Bear was saying. I think a lot of people would. There's a lot of buzzwords in there. But you've watched and talked about great success in setting up the structures.
Well, I think our academies come on leaps and bounds. All Bear Disney, but I would look to the way the system was before, where we still brought hundreds of young boys to the club and nobody made it through, mate. What they're doing now, according to that interview, is they're taking them in stages, and then when they get the cream of the crop out of each year that they've got, they put the forward them in age-wise into their reserve team or B team. And when they think they're good enough, the next stage of the plan is they go out and loan. And I think we've got quite a few out and loan now. Jake Hasty, he's at Motherwell. We've got Stephen Kelly at Ross County. We've got young Robbie McCrory, who's made it into the full Scotland squad. We've got the two boys in over in America, Orange County, Danny Finlayson and Cammy Palmer. So these boys are getting out now and playing in major football teams now, which they weren't getting the chance to do years ago. And Robbie McCrory alone could probably pay what we're paying for the running of Okinawa youth teams, mate, if and when he grows into the stature of a goalkeeper that people think he's going to be. And like most big clubs in Europe, you don't get a big load of young boys pushing their way into first team positions. And it takes time to get the system right. And I think they're doing the right thing.
GFK.
I'm 50-50 there with Albert and Fox. No, the two are make valid points, but I'm swaying more towards Albert. You know, I've said here before, and I've been shot doing it. You know that I don't seem to want to give the young players a chance, but I don't think we've got that waiting time, Oxshire. I don't think we can say that we're afforded that time. I'm wanting success anew, and for me, bringing through the young boys is only like a selling thing. Now, you're telling me in the last 5 years what we've done in that is that we've sold Ross McCrory for £350,000. Well, for me, that doesn't work then, because young Coombs wasn't one of our products. We brought him here and then we sold him again.
Billy Gilmore, £500,000, wasn't it?
But Billy Gilmore, £500,000, but that was through his choice. He wanted to
always
go.
Get that, mate.
Yeah, I know that, you know, but if you're saying they two players out of how many? I mean, I told you before about a friend of mine, Kenny, who worked in the Rangers development many years ago, and he said that at any one year they would maybe get through between 400 and 500 players a season before they would maybe hone it down to about 20. And out of that 20, which you would call decent players, they would hope to get maybe 2 or 3 really good ones. I don't see the point in that, to be quite honest. And I know we've won these nice wee tournaments, which is good to watch. We've all watched them. And I've been to see the youth team in the flesh at Firhill, and it was really enjoyable to support the young boys and that. But that's all it is for me, to support the young boys. They're wearing the Rangers blue, and I want to go and see them. But in that 11 that night, the only ones that stuck out for me was probably Mayo and Big Patterson. Kai Kennedy kind of showed on that night, a couple of games I saw. But as for the rest of them, nah, there was much as, mate. You know, they would probably get a game for any youth team going about Scotland now. So I think we should be, as a youth policy working, no, it isn't really, mate. We're not bringing through enough of it. So I'll sway towards Albert.
Yeah, that's your trouble. You sway both ways. Bridgeman?
I think it's quite interesting how you get different opinions on certain things.
Polarised opinions.
Yeah, well, in some ways, but actually, there's a lot of truth in, if you want to call it truth. There's very little differentiation between what JFK says and what Albert says, to be honest. And we all know, because we've been with Rangers for a long time, it does take a lot of youngsters come through the ranks, come through the doors, and they go again. It's like a revolving door at times. But there's always a number of 100 boys per season who'll come into clubs like Rangers, and that'll be watered down, as Jimmy says there, to maybe more than 20 or 30, to allow them to get through get a chance to sort of sniff around the cream of the cream. But it's every season. It's seasonal. It happens all the time. But I think what's happened with us since 2012, is we lost everything. Every single thing about the youths. We had nobody, we had no structure, we had no infrastructure about them, nothing. And even when Gerard came in, I don't know what he found when he got there and his coaching staff, and they've redone the whole thing again, and here you go. So it's starting again, virtually from scratch, and away it's coming through. I don't know how successful it's going to be. I really don't. And
I don't
think
see them
boys...
starting from scratch this time. I take some of the criticism that Albert says about the spiel. I get that. There is a lot of buzzwords in there. I would agree with you, Albert. I understand that rationale, but I think if we've got designs and being, there's certain things, tick boxes that you've got to have to be a successful team, and I think that might be one of them. You need this in place, and if we're going to do it, we've got to try and do it right. Are we going to get a Man United when they have the class of '92? That's nobody else has done that before.
Can I come in there?
Since, mate? Yes, mate.
I mean, if you remember, I mean, us oldies here, remember the reserve league, and the reserve league really was a second team. So you think about it. I mean,
that's what people played, and people come back for injury.
Aye, but you mean, if I couldn't get a ticket for an away game, and Rangers were playing at Ibrox, I went to Ibrox to see the reserves, and 9 times out of 10, you would say that out of the 11 that started, probably 8 or 9 of them were first team players, decent first team players, you know. But now calling it a B team, as Albert said, it's a reserve team, but we don't have that luxury now. The reserve league was a great league, and it was when you played men against boys, and that's how you learn. And it's all right saying that the youth teams are winning the trophies, as we said earlier on, but they are playing against other boys in their own age. And for me, that's not a growing process in the game. They need to learn to take the lumps and the bumps along the road. And for me, the reserve league was great for that.
But you know what?
You've not got a reserve league anymore, Jimmy.
I know we've not got a reserve league. We should have a reserve league.
So what we're trying to put in place is a B team for young players, and then put them out on loan when we think they're good enough. Or else we've got a squad of about 26 at Ibrox. Do you think that Rangers would put out half of the players that are not playing in the first team to play with the young boys on a Saturday? Do you think they would do that anymore?
I'm not talking about playing.
It's a completely different time, Jimmy.
Of course it's a different time, and that's what I'm saying, as oldies remember when the reserve league and that. But I'm still feeling that I don't know. We're all craving this success, and for me the success means if it's got to be detrimental to the young boys, then I'm for that. And that might annoy a few people, but I want successes now. And if we're not bringing through enough players, I mean, to say that we've only brought 2 players in the last 4 seasons is young Gilmore and McCrory for a total of maybe about £1 million between the two of them.
The 2 McCrorys, yeah. I mean, the boys been called into the international squad.
Aye,
you've also just heard the man say there. We've had Rangers fans shouting about we need a backup to Taverner. Let's go out and buy a right back. The man's just said there that Nathan Patterson is good enough to take over for Tav.
Well, I've said
so
that.
There's a transfer fee solved right away.
I'm not arguing that point. I agree with you because you've heard me on here saying that I think Nathan Patterson should have been given a chance. I totally agree in that aspect. But that's one. But the gaffer's no convinced that he's ready to step into Tav's shoes quite yet for any type of game. Yes, you might bring him on for 10 minutes, whatever. But for me, I'm looking for something hard and fast just now. And if the youth system isn't again as that, then for me, I don't see what progression it can bring us. You know, if you look at the youth setup just now, why did people like young Coombs want to decide to go back down to England again?
Even him. It's not the first boy's been homesick.
No, I know that, but they're saying it's homesick. Is it? But this doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is, in my opinion, having watched the reserves, I'll call them the young team, at Firhill for the 3 games I went to see, I thought there was 2 or 3 decent players. The rest, I'm be quite honest, they weren't up to much. They weren't really up to much for what I could see. I picked 3 players out was Patterson, Mayo, and young Kai Kennedy. The rest, I wasn't really impressed with at all.
But
And
you get that. But you get that if you've got. He talked about A players. That was the term he used, Fox. Yeah. And you'll get your A players who'll be the guys that you think's got the best chance. So you're not going to have 11 at that one age group that you think are going to be A players. You know, if you get 3 A players out of one age group, you've done well, Fox, huh?
Well, in that game that Jimmy's talking about, the youths, you had young Lewis Mayo at centre-half alongside the boy Finlayson, who's also recently went out on loan as well. We have got a crop of maybe 45 young players who could make it into Rangers' first team eventually. Some of these boys are only 19 years of age.
Well, I'll be quite honest with you. If Finlayson breaks into the first team, I'll grow a third leg. I don't rate him at all. I don't rate him at all. If he's out, I don't even know who's out and loan me, but I didn't rate him for what I saw, Fox. So maybe you've seen something different. I definitely think Mayo could make it, and definitely young Patterson's got a really good chance of being the backup for Tav and probably taking Tav's shirt in the next season or two. But Finlayson, for me, no, I can't see him breaking into the first team at all.
Well, what about the 2 boys that's in America playing against professionals, mate? Cammy Palmer, and I forgot the other name of the other young boy there, that are playing for Orange County in the American leagues, and they'll be playing against good quality players in the American leagues. I think that's great experience for these boys, and when they do come back to Ibrox, they'll be better players.
But you've got to remember, Orange County isn't in the MLS, Fox.
But they're still playing at a decent level. A level probably better than our 3rd division, Jimmy.
They're playing in the youth level in MLS. It's something like 3rd tier football. It's no MLS. It's no like, you know what I mean, like Inter Miami or anything like that. They're not. It's against boys at their same age, round about their same age. So they're not playing against seasoned professionals. And for me, looking back and what the reserve league brought you is, if you were up against seasoned professionals that brought out the best in you, that's my look on. I don't know what Albert thinks about that, but that's the way I look at the All Reserve League. To me, bred better players coming through that system.
No, but you remember when each club had 2 teams. One of them was the reserve team. Nowadays, there's that many players in the first team squads. So something like, is it 20 players now? How many substitutes have we allowed? Like 9?
That day, you'd only 13 players in your first team.
I'm saying that, so you sometimes only 11, because we're talking, obviously when we were a bit younger, never had reserve team, never had substitutes. So, it's really, truly difficult to imagine how far we've all come to this point. I don't know what they're going to do so far as the youth is concerned. You look all over the world, and what you're finding the bigger clubs are going out with, it's like with a big net, and they're just pulling in all the talent to them. Man City and so on and so forth, Chelsea. So these clubs, for some reason or other, have got 20 or 30 youth players, and they all can't play against the best in the world, because they are the best in the world in all probability. It's very difficult. I don't know if Rangers will ever get to these levels, but my God, they're giving it a try. That's what I say.
Paul Barron, you come, mate.
To me, he's a try to escape utility. It doesn't exist. It's just one of these situations where the model you've got to know, you're up against the Premier League, who just hoover in everything, you know what I mean? So you've got a good boy, for example, Gilmer, well, just hoover him in. You get $500,000, patting head on they go. They'll make millions and millions and millions on that boy. So at the end of the day, no matter what model you're putting in place regarding the boys and the way we're managing them at the moment, you're never going to win. It's just not going to happen. You're going to be left with the bang average players. So you're going to be a bang average league forever. The whole model needs to change, mate. The whole system needs to change. I mean, he's out there he's talking to the other 42 Scottish clubs. Oh, good. So we need to really truly get competition into our league. We need to truly get money into our league. And the only way we're going to do that is changing the whole system. You can't do it as an individual club. It just doesn't work, guys. It'll never work, and it's never worked in the past. You get the odd exceptions, like Fox will pull out names all over the place, and you can't argue them. These are facts. But They're not enough. It's just not enough for me. It's just a waste of time. So it's got to start thinking out the box, start a different way of looking at the whole lot, and let's see how we go on with that. Because it can't fail any worse than the failures we've had over the last 10, 15, 20, 25 years. And we're not talking the last 5 years. We're talking as far back as 20, 25 years. So somebody I've got to point out, somebody in their 30 could get to my age in my 60s and still be waiting for youth players to come through, or still waiting for this magical player that everybody's waiting for that never exists. You know what I mean?
We've never been a team. We've never been a club that said endless youths go in the teams. We've had patches in our history where boys come in the team young, but there's never been a conveyor belt of talent
There never will be either.
Because of the pressure to win.
They're never going to be. I mean, it's nothing to do. I mean, that's all excuses that people are all throwing up. It's not a day with pressure to win. It's raw talent. If you got the talent, the gene pool there, you've got a chance. We've not got that. So you need to look at it differently. You need to look at it and go, right, what do we want out of this? What I want out of the Rangers youth team, and I'll call it youth because I don't like calling it a youth team, but what I'm looking for it is a revenue stream. It's got to be a revenue stream. There's no other way around about this, guys. You need to get more money into the game, and you need to use that youth system as one form of revenue. It's got to be, and it's got to be used year in, year out. It can't be once every 5 years we get £300,000 for a player, or Billy Gilmore comes, who we barely had, and get $500,000 and go, oh, what a nice bit of business that was. The boy's a good player. He came to Ibrox. I don't know how long he was there, but he couldn't have been there that long, and then he's away down to Chelsea. So we can't puff our chests out and take credit for that boy. That boy just happened to be a good player who fell into Rangers' hands, as far as I can see. I might be totally wrong, but that's what I've seen. So at the end of the day, you go, these are exceptions to the rule. What we need is a complete new system. A complete new system. No this management talk, telling you drivel, just calling it something different. I can't go that. At all.
Albert, what way would you like to change it, mate? Have you got an idea how you think it might change? It could be put in place.
I said it the other week, Jimmy. Now, this might sound crazy, but it's off the wall. Okay, it's off the wall. But I'm talking about a draft system built into our education system for Scottish teams, just Scottish teams now. You've got to build something in that's there for the kids to get an education and a chance to make professional football, and it's a chance for the other teams within the league to get a first draft choice. They can get a pick of the best players first, so they can get more revenue. If they're going to sell them on, they get more revenue for that as well, which then in turn makes it a more competitive league. You've got to make this league competitive, and because that competitive product, well, you can sell. You can't sell this drivel that we're playing now. We've no sponsors now. Nobody really wants to watch it. Watch the games we're the only league that's basically getting shown in Sky at the moment. And do you think we're drawing attendances all to watch that drivel that we're dishing up the now? I mean, it's dreadful. It's absolutely dreadful. And this is a unique selling point we've got right at this moment in history. Right now, we've got a chance to sell our game. And look, Livingston, the multiple boss system get binned at Livingston and doing it, on Saturday there. Hamilton. The nets get dropped at Livingston. Anything to slow the game down, anything to kill the game. Yeah, I'm sitting looking at going, the footballing world who likes football for football's sake are sitting watching us going, what's happening here? At one point at Livingston, we never had the ball for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes of the game. We never had the ball. And I'm going, that sums up Scottish football to me. That's the amateur, stupid way we look at this game up here. So I'm trying to think out the box because I've sat all my adult life and all when I'm growing up, the same as you, Jimmy, same as all the rest, Bridge, Fox and all that, and all our lives, and watch this dribble, absolute dribble.
See, your point is brilliant because two my boy Graham's friends, they were in college with him, and they were handing out sports scholarships, and they two took the football scholarship. And one of them ended up playing with Toronto Blizzard, I think it's called. They played with, and he's actually one of them went sports science or something there. But he's actually a full-time professional in the MLS, and he went as a scholarship. So your idea is good, but it's how we would get it to work. It's all to do with government funding and all that.
You need to rip out the cancer at Scottish football, Barry.
But
absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
The interview wasn't about sorting out Scottish football. It was about sorting out Rangers and their youth. And he did say in that interview that things are going to change in British football, where players will be bought for other youth systems. We have recently acquired a young boy from Northern Ireland, a young striker for down in England, who were chased by many, many clubs, but they're at Ibrox now. They're by that part of where they can just sign them up before they sign a professional contract. So we are changing things. There isn't a great deal of terrific talent in Scotland. Greg Mulholland never claimed that there. But what he is saying is they're going to change the way that they're going to work. And we'll be looking to take the best of youth out of other football teams when there's no the good youth in Scotland. That's what I took out of his interview.
I didn't take that. What I took out of his interview was hot air. That's what I took out of his interview. I've listened to that all my life, folks, honest to God. And that's all I took out of that. I just heard blah, 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 blah.
But maybe you've done the usual there, Albert, you turned off.
Aye, I just cannot be annoyed listening to it. I really can't. I've listened to it for years, mate. Years and years and years. For football level, for what level, I've just listened to this crap for years. It's not working. And it's all right saying we can, that's your idea, we can go and get boys down south and buy them. And so we've got another transfer market to spend money that we often go anyway, to bring a player on if he's any ability that they're going to take back off you for practically next to nothing. It's madness. It's absolute total madness. It's needing a complete and utter overhaul. I'm not saying my idea is the only idea. I'm not saying my idea should be adopted and everybody else should bin every idea out there. All I'm saying is start thinking out the box. Start thinking something completely radical here, by the way. And it has to be the government, the SFA, and as Ox pointed out, the cancer that is Scottish football needs to be ripped out, absolutely tore out and started again. I mean, you look at that scum mob that they're up to. They're just hoovering in every spare bit of cash in Scotland. Every bit of cash in Scotland, they're actually hoovering in. It was that bad, by the way. They went to the cheat last year to get that league, and they go to their car and we're getting scudded out of that first round. That was just perfect, mate. That was perfect for me. Going like, that's what you deserve for that. But that is the reality of Scottish football. That what you got last year is the reality of Scottish football, and you need to wake up to it, guys. We all need to wake up to it. It needs to be ripped out, starting again. But let's not start again just with different bodies all doing the same thing. Let's start it again by thinking the whole system through and changing the whole system. And it's got to be tied into your education system as well. That's the attraction. That's what mums and dads will want their boys and lassies to get into. Oh, you can get to a scholarship, as Jimmy's pointed out. You can get a real good education through these football academies. Let's go that way. I mean, you've got other ways to try and get an education. Obviously, the traditional ways, the academic way. But you've also got a chance. I know it's a chance to get a decent education. Now, what we're doing now is trying to give the boys and lassies an education within our academies. They were already trying that. So why not tie it totally into the colleges and universities as well?
I don't know if the American system would work. Their sports are so
much different. They might know, but
only because their sports are all done on stats, isn't they? You can't judge a football player on that. It's a different game.
We've got a stats guy. We've got Port Bear.
Oh, he's Mr. Stato.
Mr. Stato, yeah.
I mean, you might get a start on Sunday for Saturday that Barker run the most of their team, Albert. Someday you might get that start, that information might come through, and you say, well, he's done the most running. Does that mean he had a good game?
Oh, of course it's no. I don't believe in the stats anyway. I'm not saying we should run the game, the stats. That's just a part and parcel. And maybe the American ways.
The American games are, they are
different. It's a different game, but I don't think they run my nephew was in America working for a while as a football coach. And he was telling me about different things over there. And the attitude, it was the attitude basically he was actually impressed with the mess. You know what I mean? Everybody, mums and dads, and everybody want to help, want to pitch in and help. And nobody runs away from any of the work to be done. They all try to get it done and help. They all get smiles and positive. And I mean, okay, that's great. In fact, it's all Disneyland stuff to me, but at the end of the day, and we'll go back to here where we actually are, and we need to come out of the box, guys. That's all I'm saying. Just try and think out the box for a change, and let's not start regurgitating all this stuff that we've heard for years and years and years. Because all the young Rangers supporters, if there are any young Rangers supporters sitting listening to us all trumpets rattling on, I mean, these are the guys that should come up with the innovation. These are the guys that should come up with different ideas and state-of-the-art stuff. I mean, I know my time for that state-of-the-art stuff's away by now. I just plod along. But at the end of the day, I know what we're doing now is never going to be beneficial. We're football as a nation. That is. I don't even think we're a nation, but anyway, you know what I'm saying.
Fox, you think they are outside the box, moving to that level? You see some innovation there, didn't you?
I do. I think football's evolving. It's like we think of things that in the past. When people worked in the shipyards, mate, there maybe have been a couple of hundred apprentices. Many did they keep? Do you know what I mean? You're trying to put young boys, give them an opportunity to earn a living. 99% of them only make it in professional sport, but they give it a go. And I think there should be a structure there for young boys to have a go. And I just think that, I think we as a club and the support, see this, do away with the youth academy. Never mind the Europa League. We don't want that. We want the Scottish League. For God's sake, I mean, we're going to end up a team like Ferencváros that beat Celtic, mate, who were a great team years ago, and people in Europe will talk about us like them, mate. If you want to be a big club, you've got to do the big club things.
Oh, well said, Mr. Fox. Mr. Bridge.
Well, what Fox is saying just at the end there is quite right, but you know, we're trying to do the big things, and unfortunately we ran aground, and we paid the price for it. So we're where we are, and we need to. Just said it 10 minutes ago. We, as a club, need to find a way of getting more money into the club, because that's really what we're wanting. If we want to be a big club in Europe, in any way, shape, or form, we need to get better quality players, and so it goes on, and the cycle turns and turns and turns. And that goes back to what Albert's saying. The system we've got now hasn't given as many as Albert would like. He's maybe looking for 10 or 12 youngsters that can come in. And, okay, you filter them out. Somewhere along the line, you're going to get maybe 2 or 3 every 2 years or something like that, every 2 or 3 throughout the team. 3 years' time, you can sell them and make a few bob. But, really, what Fox said at the end there, you know, could we end up being a Ferencváros? Yes, we could. We actually could. But we have to do something about it. And that's what I hope that's what our management doing now.
JFK, is there a bit of luck involved in this? If Tav was to pull his hamstring and Patterson goes in and he implodes, or implodes or explodes onto the scene, one or the other, you know, you've either got somebody who's disappearing, or you've got somebody, just by a bit of luck, somebody getting an injury. That's how you get in the team, innit?
Of course it is. Of course it is. And we just need to see what's happening now, although it's no youths, is Alan McGregor, John McLaughlin's situation. No, the gaffer stuck with John McLaughlin because he's in possession of the jersey and he's playing well, and he's taking his chance because Alan McGregor got injured. And it works the same. If Tav gets injured, then Patterson will step in, and then we'll see what he's made of. You know, I'm not decrying what the man Mulholland and that is doing, but I just don't think it's working the way we want it to work. Maybe I'm impatient. I want success now. I don't want to wait 5 years for success. No, I mean, I want it now.
That's no the first team success. That's a different thing. His success will be different for that, eh?
But what is his success?
Well, I
named 2 players as all we've sold out of that in the last 5 years, but we've no been. It's not been a conveyor belt. I mean, there again, we're bringing young boys from Northern Ireland. So are you telling us, if he's doing that, then that's telling us that the boys that we've got at Ibrox and you who've come through the system since we're 10, 11, 12 aren't good enough to progress. So we're bringing other players in from Northern Ireland.
Listen to what the guy says. you have a star, I think was the term he used, Fox. You're not going to have 11 of them in a team, mate. You're going to have maybe 3.
I understand that.
The rest will be the guys that will have to be for that age group for the A-star players to perform. That ain't new, is it, Albert?
No, it's no. I mean, at the present time, if we keep the present system, like Fox and yourself is saying, well, you need to look at what's the measurements here? What we're looking for here? You need to start holding these people to task. You need to start looking at them and saying, okay, right, fine, that's the way it's going to be. The support need a measuring stick. We need to know what we consider success here. Now, we're just spouting off and saying team players into the first team. That's success to us. Now, if that's success to us, well, it's failed miserably because we're not getting enough into the team. Over a 5-year period, I'm not talking about a season, I'm talking about a 5-10-year period even. Right, so you get some, but you don't get enough. Right, so if that's the measuring stick, well, it's failed. If you're saying that's not the measuring stick, and then they come out with this, we've been successful, and we've got 78% of this, and 90% of that, and 98 and 80 for this, but that's self. That's the Stephen Gerrard comment. That's you marking your own homework. We need the measuring stick. Then we can measure them and say, right, you didn't do that, you didn't do that, you didn't do that, or you did do that. I didn't say, I see where you're going with that. At the moment, we have no way of gauging whether they're being successful or not being successful. So they're just telling you things, and you're going, all right, it's management speak. It's nonsense. It's crap. It's absolute nonsense. I don't want to listen to it, and I'll not be listening to him again. To be honest with you.
We knew you'd be on. It was called a hook. How do you judge it? Do you judge it with people leaving, like JFK's mentioned, a couple of players? Do you judge it with the number that's in the first team squad? I don't know if you can judge that this now. Geez, there's about 20 in the first team squad, every 25 every home game because of the numbers involved. I think the support will judge it is when a guy pulls on the jersey every week. That's the only way I think the support can judge it. Fox?
I think that we're looking at the wrong way here. I think the academy and the way it's structured is good enough. It's the raw materials we've no got, lads. That's why we'll need to go and pull boys from other parts of Britain, as the raw material isn't present in Scotland at the moment. And the batch that we haven't got probably at the moment, apart from about 5 players. So just like you go in the transfer market for the first team, you're going to have to go into the transfer market for the young players now. And as you see in Europe, mate, you've got young boys moving to big clubs in Europe who have never had a first team game for big money. And that's the way the future's going to go. And we're trying to prepare the club to go in that direction.
Oh, interesting thoughts there, mate. Bridgman?
You know, it's actually, I think we go backwards and forwards, and it's wonderful conversations and great topics and, you know, great points my guys are putting. I still see it as what Fox said there just a second ago is absolutely true. Once again, it's absolutely true. We have to go out into the big wide world and bring the players in to start the foundation, to see this is the measuring stick. Bring a lot of players in, or whatever players they want to, and keep them. Don't palm them off after 6 months. Keep them, and that's your measuring stick for get a season or two out of them. And if they make it, then they make it. And other boys can come in and through different channels. But until such times as we get a relevant quality, which I've said all night, we have to get a certain quality. And if we can't get that quality, we as well. Don't get me wrong, we'll always try. We'll always have a youth and all that. But we need to get them to a relevant quality, and we're going to have to bring them in, as we're doing at the moment, but we're going to have to bring in bigger numbers.
That's one of the points that all bears.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's why I said earlier, all of us are saying a very similar thing. There's a shortage here and a shortage there, and we can identify them. But I think Allbear likes to talk about measurements, and I don't know.
He's concerned that you get somebody at 16. He's the start turn. You've developed him for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then the boy doesn't sign a contract and walks away.
And that's exactly what's happening to us at times.
And what have you got to? Or you might hear him he signs a 2-year deal, you go back into the game with that 2-year deal.
Yeah.
And he says, no, I'm going away. That's what you're concerned with, Albert, isn't it?
Exactly, mate. That's exactly. And you can't hold them any more than that, because it's no fair to hold them more than that. But then that's another chance you're taking, whether the guy's going to stay or go. And then you've got the big clubs there sitting picking half. I mean, we'll benefit from it as well, like Rebo and people like that. It's just a messed up system. It doesn't work. Now we're talking about actually going to buy young boys. Now you're buying potential. So you're buying something that's not even there yet. So we're just buying potential. So you can be spending money, bigger money, in that market if it ever comes about, which I don't agree we should actually start. But if it ever does come about, you're now going to get a few years and you watch how big money-wise that grows, how much it's going to cost you for a player now. A player that's just shown potential is £100,000. Now, you need to buy £100,000 for this boy. He's not even played a reserve game, let alone a first-team game, but you're going to start paying crazy money for them. No, that's just not on for me. That's corporate greed, mate. That's all that is. That's got nothing to do with football.
The only way to keep young players at your club when they're at that age is your first team to be doing well. And that's what we need. We need our first team to be winning leagues, competing at the highest level in Europe. That's what keeps young boys at our club and paying them the money which you earn through those endeavours. And that's what, as I say, will keep young boys at our club. That's how we managed to hold on to people like Barry Ferguson when he was in his prime before he eventually left. We were paying the biggest money in Britain, and that's how you hold on to your stars.
But we can't do that now, folks. That's what I'm saying to you. The model's completely changed.
But we do earn that sort of money by doing well, by winning our own league, mate, and getting into the Premier competitions in Europe. That's where the big money is. And that's where the big money.
I know, but you can't count on that. You can't count on that, mate.
I know that, but we get people on this show saying they couldn't give a damn about the Europa League. Europa League brings in decent cash, and that's what's going to help us in the future. Next year we'll be in the Champions League, and we need to do well in that to bring in even more cash.
See that we take the league of the Europa Cup. You know, that's just nonsense talk. That's just fable nonsense. I mean, what actually happened here is we're in the Europa Cup. Every revenue stream we need, let's go, and we need to maximise that revenue stream to its ultimate limit, or as far as we can take it. That's the reality of life, and that includes every competition. Every competition. We have no choice in that. We must do that. And we can't go, oh, well, I don't mind getting knocked to Europa League or the Scottish Cup or the League Cup or second in the league because we get Champions League money, we're getting second in the league. It's all about revenue, mate. That's why that scum are taking in every bit of revenue they can. That's why Lywell's doing what he's doing in the background. He's cheating and all his carry on. Is to get every penny he possibly can into that club because they've got a huge bill to pay. They must pay it. Now, they might have money in the bank, but that will soon dwindle if they don't start keeping this money coming in. So us, for our part of it, to say we don't want to get into the Europe, you know you're not saying that, but to say we don't want to go that far in the Europa Cup is nonsense. And by the way, see this one game thing, that suits the smaller teams, this one game, because anything can happen in one game. Anything.
A free hit.
It is, mate. It really is, by the way. And by the way, see all this, they're going to attack, and teams are going to attack. These wee teams are going to click onto what Livingston and St Mirren or them. These teams are going to go, if we can get this, it goes to penalty kicks. If we can get to penalty kicks, anything can happen at penalty kicks. So don't think for a minute we're going to see fast attacking football for all these wee teams. You ain't. You're going to see them trying to get you to penalty kicks.
Well,
see, Albert, you obviously haven't been watching the Champions League then, mate, because you say you only watch Rangers. Right, but I've been watching the Champions League games.
Emmerdale, he watches.
But I've been watching the Champions League games, and I can assure you that both teams are attacking, mate. It's nobody's sitting back because it's a one-off game. And
it's an obvious now, Jimmy. The reality will kick into them. They will actually start realising it going.
The qualifying games, that was the cream at the end of the tournament, JFK.
Doesn't matter. There's two teams were still out attacking. You know.
No, but what you're saying is
I hope you're right, Jimmy.
If we drew, say, Barcelona in the qualifying, next year for a one-off game, we would go out and open up. We'd try and keep it tight, wouldn't we? Mug them. That's what would happen. Let's be honest.
No, if they commit and play football against us, we'll go out and play football against them at Real Madrid.
And we'll destroy them.
Of course we will.
Gentlemen, we've reached that time of the evening. Brilliant. We knew all Bear would fall for that hook, Fox. Easy here. Easy. Bridgeman.
Oh, what can I say? A marvellous night tonight. Great discussion tonight. Really good discussion, particularly that last 15, 20 minutes there. Old Bear winding everybody up, that's for sure. Can I just say to all the Rangers fans all over the world, and particularly Rangers fans on here on Rangers Radio, another great night. Looking forward to the weekend, next weekend, so we can relax our way all the way through to this, and hopefully certain things will happen, and they'll be in the negative for our enemies, shall we say. So everybody, keep it going for the Rangers, because the Rangers really need us. Keep it going.
Thanks, Tall Bear. Thanks for coming in, mate. We thought you might. Thanks to Fox for joining us. It's always a pleasure to get him on anything to do with the club. JFK Bridgeman, and of course, All School Blue, doing the technical, supported by Fox. This has been Rangers Radio. We'll be back tomorrow night when Mr. Stato will be back with us again. I think it's one of his last nights off. We'll be back between 8 and 10 talking about all things Rangers. Port Bear will be with us. Take it away. All School Blue.
We are the Rangers FC. We are the people, you better believe. We are together, we're doing the bouncy all over the world. We had our troubles, but now they are gone. They tried to kill us, but the Bears we stood strong. We are together, doing the bouncy all over the world. Lucia by Bronx for Lancer at 3. Follow, and God save the Queen. You'll hear us singing, doing the bouncy all over the world. In Barcelona in 72, we beat the Russians, but 3-2. Still celebrating, doing the bouncy all over the world. Glasgow Rangers are back where we belong. Blue sea of Ibrox, and we're still going strong. We wear our colours, the red, white and blue. We wear them proudly like blue noses do. We are together, doing the bouncy all over the world. The pride of Scotland, but that's nothing new. The pride of Glasgow, and Glasgow is blue. We are together, doing the bouncy all over the world. To be a blue nose, it fills us with pride. We are united, we'll never divide. We are together, doing the bouncy all over the world. Doing the bouncy all over the world. Doing the bouncy all over the world.